Learn how to use the sum method to check if at least one element in a typed array passes a specific test condition, returning a clean boolean either true or false. Here's my boilerplate code, and we're going to be looking at this sum method together. So let me move to my script stack, which I have done. Now, before we talked about this particular method, I want to just say something about this particular method I want to talk about. Now, think of this method as a quick yes or no for your array. So when you want to check at least if one element matches your testing condition, the sum method is a good way to check this and evaluate your typed array. Now, instead of extracting a specific number, like the way the find method does, the sum method instead asks, are there any number in this list that match my rule? So if it finds even a number that passes your test, so it stops looking and yell back true. So if it scans the whole list and find absolutely nothing, it will return false, which means it will either give you a result or a false. If it can find a value, it will return true. If it cannot, it will return false to you. So let's look at the example. So the first thing first, we need to create our typed array, which we are going to be using int 16 array to construct. From a source data set. So then now I can go ahead and make the array and call it my AWR as my array. And then I'll call this integer 16 array constructor alongside the from method to create my typed array. So now I have 50 as the last element of my array. So now it's time to ask if at least one number in the array is greater than 30. So if you want to check if one of the number is at least greater than 30, how do we do that? Well, it's not something difficult. So I'll wipe this and then restart again. So I will make a variable and call it as match in order to describe what we're trying to look for. So I'll call my array and now call my sum method. And inside this sum method, I'll pass an element through arrow function so that it will run in the background greater than 30. Now, if you look at this, it's actually not doing anything here. Now, this element could be anything. In this example, let me call it X. You can call it anything you want. And you can call it element. It will still work. Now, let me go ahead and display the results. So to display the results, I'll call document.getElement by ID. Table.now.html equals to as match. And on the screen, you should see 2. So the sum method never returns the actual number from the array. It strictly returns true or function or false. So if I change this to like 100 now, you should see it should return something else because there's none of our array elements that is greater than 100 in this particular example. So just like the way the other methods like find and others are optimized for typed array, some method is optimized for split too. So the exact microspeed it encounters a matching element, it stops looking immediately because its requirement for at least one match has been successfully satisfied. So once it finds a match, it will stop looking, and which this makes it highly optimized. Now, what if you want to make sure all numbers match your rule, not just some of them if you want all numbers. Well, if you need every single item in the array to pass your test, you will use the sister method called every method. So by the time you change from some method to every method, then it will check. For example, I want to change this from some to every. And now you can see even with every, it is still returning false. But I'm just showing you that this method, this is how you use it too. So you change from some to every if you want all the members to match your rule. But in this case, we are not looking at that. I'm actually looking at least one element in the array that is greater than 30, and that is the purpose of using the sum method. But like I just demonstrated, the same way is how you will use the sister method called the every method. So to see if all members matches your rule in the code. So the sum method returns true if at least one item passes, and then it returns false if not. The sister method, which is the every method on the other hand, returns true only if 100% of the item pass, which means that for me to get true, every other element, for example, if I take this out and I call this every now, so it will return, it will return true for me as well. But if all the conditions are not matched, it will not return true. So I'm just trying to use this to demonstrate how that method as well would work. So I've reverted back to what I had before, and with this we've been able to see how you can use this method to check if at least one element in a typed array satisfies the provided testing function.